All right. Well, today I'm going to be chatting with SGX coach Becky Webb. Becky's been a trainer for 13 years and has a really vast and a variety of a background. She's a mindset coach, a gut health specialist, hormone specialist, TRX suspension trainer, instructor, CrossFit level 1 instructor, as I mentioned, SGX coach, a surge instructor, bar above instructor, and has worked with a vast variety of clients. I know that's a long list there, but Coach Becky, how you doing today?
Doing awesome, Mike. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm excited to chat with you and learn a little bit more about you and hopefully get some good insight that our listeners can take away and apply to their lives.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm super excited about this opportunity.
All
Hopefully,
right.
hopefully somebody can grow and take messages that have been applied to my own life and take those and run and become a better person. So, because today we're talking about mindset and some habits that we can do to improve that, not just in the Spartan industry, but as well throughout daily life.
Absolutely. So, and this is going to be a great topic. But before we get into the mindset and that, I want to just learn a little bit more about you for our listeners, so they can kind of see where you're coming from and kind of how you got into Spartan training, obstacle course race training, and then we'll get into what drew you to kind of mindset in particular.
Yeah. So just to start off, my dad has been the biggest example for me throughout my life. My dad's always been super hardworking. My mom raised me, and I have a brother that's just 16 months older than a sister that's 2.5 years younger, and then some older half siblings, kind of a Brady Bunch family. But my dad was long haul truck driver. We didn't come from a very wealthy family, and when I was in seventh grade, he was diagnosed with epilepsy. He lost his driver's license. He lost his ability to essentially be a man and provide. And, that's really, that back then that was really frowned upon. This was, a couple decades ago, but not to date myself. But he persevered. He did all that he could between treatments, with his visits at the VA hospital, having to travel, 400 or 500 miles round trip for his visits. It became very stressful on my family, but he just kept going. He continued to find those activities that would allow him to not sit still, just to continue to be active. And that's kind of what pushed me into changing my life. My mom, she had to pick up the slack from the lack of income there, and there was a lot of stress put on her. She's going to be 70 this winter, and she's still hauling those massive trays around the restaurant. There's no stopping her 60 hours a week. So she's also been a great influence for me as far as not giving up. And so, I was kind of forced to go to work early and, just kind of fend for myself. And, while that sucked, I'm not gonna lie, while that was very difficult, and I just said, hey, this is life. There's no other option. I got to go through with this. And so since then, I've been working extremely hard. So it's kind of what pushed me into understanding the importance of mindset. Now, you asked me what kind of got me into Spartan coaching, Spartan racing. I took a position at a local rec center, and they asked me to become a Spartan coach because they said they had an awesome coach. And she left. The rec center was closed for about 2 years for a complete facelift, complete remodel, expansion. It was super awesome, and I felt like I had big shoes to fill with this previous coach that they had. And I love the Spartan coach. I love especially group fitness. That's kind of my niche. That's where I thrive. You go to different certifications, different classes, specific dance classes, and I won't name any just to, out of respect for different companies. But there's a limitation. And I don't like to be limited. I don't like to be constricted. I want to just be able to grow and flourish and adopt a specific mindset. And out of all the certifications and everything that I've had, the SGX Spartan lifestyle is something that I can truly push, that I can live, that I can help others grow and thrive in as well.
That's awesome. I really thank you for sharing your story and with your parents and kind of you were forced to just step up, and luckily you found a spot that made sense for you, and you can thrive in. You know, there was a book, The Power Broke, by Damon John, from the guy from the Shark Tank, and
Oh yeah.
kind of with that mindset of how many great people come from like a hard background. And while obviously nobody wants to go through a tough childhood and death and all these different things, but there are people that can, you know, rise above, and they almost make it a advantage. And you know, it kind of sounds like you had no choice. And well, I guess you always have a choice, right? You could,
You do, absolutely.
yeah.
Just fall and eat chips on the couch. You can get up and not only just rise to the occasion. So there's the three options: lay on the couch, wallow in pity, and eat your potato chips. Which my high school mascot was a potato, so I think that's kind of funny. But or you know, rise to the occasion and do the demands, and complain about it or whatever, or you can slay it. That's kind of my trademark. Becky, burpees and slaying things, right? It's like off with the head. I'm gonna crush this. We've got this. So there's those three levels there.
Awesome. Cool. I definitely want to dive more into this, but I'd love to know just what's a typical week look like for you, just your personal training
Wow.
program. You know, what because you have such a wide variety of backgrounds. So I'd love to know kind of how you maybe mesh those together, or kind of
Yeah.
what currently you're into.
Yeah, no, that's a fantastic question. So I'm also a certified nutritionist. So I do a lot of nutrition coaching. I incorporate that into people um, that really want to adopt the Spartan lifestyle. So I've been coaching level 1 classes, which is just basic, basic fitness, improving overall athleticism, as Spartan preaches. But then there's a level 2, people that really want to emulate and live the Spartan lifestyle with nutrition, with mindset. So I incorporate that in these weekly consults that I do. Saturday, I'm working with the local gym here. I'm going to be a judge for a CrossFit Open. So that's super fun. So Saturday is kind of like my play day. I usually will either go into like a Krav Maga class. I teach women's self-defense as well, just as, pop-up classes or whatever, or like a 6-week. I just finished up a 6-week course with women because I'm all about empowerment. I usually coach classes anywhere from 5 a.m. to 9 a.m. Spend the morning, taking I have 4 children. I usually take my little one, my oldest is 13, then I have a 6, 4, and 2-year-old. So I usually take my two middle daughters to like their tumbling class or like a cheer camp or whatever during the summer. I'll take them to the gym. I'll go get my workout in. Making sure that's very, very important to me so I can show up for my athletes or my general population, corporate employees that work 9 to 5, whatever the demographic may be. Then I'll come home, get lunch. I'll take an hour break for myself and then go back, jump in to my nutrition consults, coaching evening classes. I coach at another local rec center as well. So definitely busy. There's never a dull moment. And you can bet that in every single class, there's bound to be a burpee somewhere.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. So let's talk mindset, because this is a question that just comes up all the time, whether people know they're asking it or not sometimes,
Yeah.
where I think it's people are realizing, obviously there's the physical portion, right? You have to be prepared. And that's a lot of the things that many of us kind of love, sickly love to do. So with mindset, I just love to know kind of your philosophy and maybe how you implement this from a training perspective, or how I'm trying to incorporate this with clients. And just, I know it's a loaded question. So like how do you attack mindset when working with an individual?
I can't answer that question specifically because it varies from individual to individual. I've worked with very elite NFL athletes who have the worst mindset possible. And then I've worked with a mom who's 8 weeks postpartum, who's just like, I'm ready to crush this. Let's do this. I want my body back. She finds her motivation. She finds her why. She taps into that mindset. She gives everything her effort, greatest effort, nonetheless, 110%, on top of nursing and taking care of a baby, running on next to no sleep, right? I'm kind of, thank heavens, mostly out of that phase. So let's do talk mindset. So Mike, let me ask you, what is mindset? Like, what do you think mindset is?
So for me, I guess your mindset would be your current belief system on what you're capable of, or maybe your control of your environment or your outcome or something along those lines.
I'm glad that you said abilities. So there's two different types of mindsets. I'm sure you've heard about fixed mindset versus growth mindset. So fixed mindset really focuses on abilities instead of attitude. Oh, I can't do that because I have a torn ACL. You know what? I don't want to hear any excuses. I've had 7 reconstructive knee surgeries. Um, I'm still doing burpees. I'm still out running. Like, it's almost the fixed mindset. I just want to tell people, like, get over yourself. There's more than just your abilities. What about your attitude? And that's the difference between the the fixed mindset over the growth mindset. Growth mindset really focuses on attitude. Even though I have an injury, I can still, it's I can't versus I can. And so I love to hear people's I can't, because some of them are just so ridiculous, and I just turn away and kind of snicker, off in the corner. So I'm like, really? Like, unless they have a valid reason, of course, I'm obviously there to help support them. But I've heard so many excuses under the sun. It's unbelievable. Mindset. So traits of a fixed mindset, it's an all or nothing. People really just want to instantaneous results. They don't want to put in the work. There's so much of that going on. They just want, they want things short term, whereas a long term open growth mindset is like, hey, I'm in this for the entire lifestyle. I just had a bad experience that flipped my life completely around, and I'm ready to run and be positive. The thing that we can talk about different types of mindsets, but it's like, how do people get into developing into a growth mindset versus staying stagnant in that fixed mindset? And a lot of people don't know these tricks, and there's 6 elements that I want to discuss today. Habits are your armor. If you're in a battle, right? Say you're on a horse and someone's coming at you with a javelin, you don't have armor on, you're going to take one for the team or take everything, right? Fall off the horse, you end up dead, life's over, no more lives left, right? Kind of like a video game here. Or you can put on, the more armor that you have on, the greater the ability you have to be able to resist those blows. Not saying that you won't get hurt, not saying that you won't get injured, because that does happen. That happens to us in life, regardless of the trials or tribulations that we have to endure. But I want to just dive quickly into these because these are so important. Number 1 on this list, as far as developing a growth mindset, this is kind of where I want to focus our energy today, is developing that growth mindset. Number 1, stress. We can talk about stress all day long. Are the stresses in your life positive or negative? Which ones are awesome? Which ones are not so awesome? List the positive ones on a piece of paper, tape it to your mirror, for example, something that you have to look forward to that causes a little bit of positive anxiety, if you will, or releases good endorphins, something that gives you something to work toward. A goal specifically is what I'm talking about when I say use stress. Negative stressors, I love to write those things down. I'll come back to those later, and then I focus on the positive things, right? With that stress, are you doing anything to cope with that stress? Are you going to therapy? We just got out of a nasty pandemic. Some people say it's going on. Some people say we're past it, right? Whatever your belief, none of my business. Awesome. But figure out a solution. For me, and I'll be honest, like, I needed to go to counseling because it took such a hit on me not being able to be employed by a gym. I took a desk job in which I was very unhappy. It took a massive toll on my marriage. I wasn't able to be present for my kids, though I was still working out in the mornings. It wrecked me. So whatever that looks like for you, do what you can to manage stress. Meditation is probably the biggest thing that helps me. whether you're religious or not, saying a prayer in your heart, thanking the universe for those things that are around you. Just spending 15 minutes a day and thinking about or listing out. My favorite way to do this is just calling my mom or talking to my husband or even my children. I spend a lot of time with my children, and so I want them to develop this mindset as well. Just telling them about the good things that happened today, because it makes you more of an accountability partner for that person as well, and it kind of just has a little ripple effect on that person around you. Self-care. What are you doing to care for yourself? For me, it's getting my workout in. It's spending 5 minutes in my journal, writing things that I am thankful for. And then it's at the end of the night, getting down on my knees and just saying a good prayer and not asking for anything, but just expressing gratitude. There are two things that you have control over. That's gratitude and attitude. As far as stress goes, those two things go so hand in hand with stress. Now, obviously, there are physical conditions, metabolically speaking, hormones, if you will, cortisol levels. If your cortisol levels are too low or too high, obviously you may, I would, if you're one of my clients, would refer you out to a physician, just staying in my scope of practice. So whatever that looks like for you, managing stress.
Real quick, I wanted to ask you something, just because you mentioned meditation, and I'd love to get just any insight you have. So it's one of those things, some people love it or hate it. And I don't think people argue the benefit of it. It's more, how do I incorporate this? And I'll definitely fall into that category. I've tried a few times, and I've just struggled. It's been really hard for me to get into like a meditation routine. And I don't know if you have any tips, advice, strategies for anybody who's kind of similar, where
Absolutely.
maybe they've never tried it before, don't know where to start, or they've tried it and it didn't stick, where maybe they could go.
Yeah, so I was also new to meditation. I didn't really think of it as like a mandatory thing in success with any of my life endeavors. But there's an app that I highly recommend. It's called Smiling Mind. I'll just kind of put my screen up here if you can see it. It's like this little white brain. Yeah, there's my lawn care app. Don't judge my lawn, but Smiling Mind, it's an Australia-based app. It ranges from kids 3 to 6. There's preschool apps. There's nighttime programs that you can follow. Some range in variation from a minute and a half clear on up to 15-20 minutes. You get to select your time. I highly recommend it. It just walks you through. There's so many different outlines that you can follow. The array is so wide that it's going to be very likely that you'll find something that fits your current situation for that day, for that specific day, whether it's stress relief, whether it's like, hey, I'm struggling to go to sleep, I can't fall asleep, so Smiling Mind is definitely a great way to get started, kind of introduces you to that. Some other meditation can also include, turning the lights out, going to a yoga class for an hour, whatever that looks like for you. So just start somewhere. So those are two recommendations that I have as far as meditation.
Thank you. Definitely gonna check out that out.
Yeah, Smiling Mind. Super funny. My daughters love it when we're traveling home. Sometimes late from the gym, I'll have a late personal training client, and they're like, "Mom, we have a half an hour. Come on, this drive is so boring. Can you put on Smiling Mind?" And they sit there, and sometimes we'll say, "Hey, let's get ready for bed." So my daughter's like, "Hey, Mom, I can't lay down. It just told me to lay down." I'm like, "Nope, keep your seatbelt done up, girls. Safety over sleep." Like, so there's different ways to adapt to that meditation app. I highly recommend it. And there's obviously other ones out there that are that you can pay for. Calm is an excellent one. I believe it's like $70 or $80. I think it's a month. It's kind of expensive. I'm all about the freebies. I'm raising a family. But Calm is
cool.
great it's cheaper than a therapist, honestly, and that's what people struggle with. If they just learn to meditate, they can usually reduce their stress levels greatly.
Okay, awesome. And I'll put links to these in the show notes for this episode as well.
Yeah, that'd be great. That would be awesome. You can just find those at the App Store or iOS store.
Okay, perfect. So let's keep going. Let's keep moving through our list here for mindset.
Yeah, so mindset, we just went over stress. Let's hit sleep. Sleep is where I suck. I'm human. I I I stress about everything. I'm a mom. I have a very overactive mind, right? My my one of my really good friends, Casey underscore Tom underscore on Instagram. She is phenomenal. I highly recommend her. She's an FDM, also a mindset coach and gut health expert. She has been a great influence on my life, but she gave me the best tips. She said, if you're struggling with sleep, you're set at bedtime, you're not a toddler anymore. I don't care. It's an excuse, right? Set a reverse alarm. If you want to be in bed by 9, set a reverse alarm for 8 o'clock, and then set one for 8:05 so that you have that extra 5 minutes to finish up whatever project you're on. If you're type A personality like myself, I don't like to be cut off from a project, but I like to have sufficient time to be able to allow myself to pull away from that project. Do those things, shower, brush your teeth, follow your normal routine for getting to bed. Then you still have some time left over for that meditation, for that prayer, for writing in a gratitude journal, etc. That way you can unload. That hour before you actually fall asleep or crawl into bed gives you that time to just unload and decompress. And it has been so instrumental in helping me make sure that I get enough sleep. And adults, regardless of your age, usually require 7 to 9 hours of sleep. So if you guys are struggling with sleep, set that reverse alarm. Your body needs it. 80% of the remodeling in your body, especially after a hard workout, cellular reproduction and repair happens at night during that REM cycle. So that's why sleep is so imperative. So reverse alarm an hour before, set a timer to finish up whatever project you're on. Now it's summer, people, 4th of July coming up, people are going to be staying up later. It doesn't matter. Stick to the same schedule. There are going to be those nights where you do have an exception, but set limitations, set boundaries out of respect for yourself. So, go out and have fun, still be a normal human, but still keep those boundaries in effect and don't slip up on them. Consistency is key there.
It's pretty funny with sleep. It's one of those things, again, it's like people won't argue how important it is, but the amount of
Right.
effort they put into it is not there. And it's like they want the advanced nutrition, workout,
Yep.
and it's like, but you're sleeping 3 hours a night. What's all that stuff going to do for you anyway? And this is where you have to start. And I don't think it can be said enough.
Yeah, set a reverse alarm, absolutely. The third component that I want to address is nutrition. Simplify. This is the biggest stressor that I can go into. The biggest fact that I can push on people: simplify. Take Sunday as my prep day. I make a meal for the week. I get my shopping done on Saturday, the night before. Whatever day you choose to meal prep, chop up those carrots or whatever so that you can saute them the next day, or whatever your schedule looks like, right? Prep the day before or even a couple days before. A little bit of prep goes a long way. There's baked potatoes sitting in my fridge all the time. So if I'm running late, I'm like, hey, here's some garlic and herb seasoning, toss those in the frying pan. You're good to go. It takes 5 minutes, right? I'm good to go. Preparation is key with nutrition. There's a principle that is taught by one of my former coaches at Fidelity Investments. And he said, automaticity is key. I love that word. I love that phrase, automaticity. The more automated you are, the easier it is, the less stress you're going to have because you know your routine. And make sure that the routine that you set up for yourself is something that's going to be sustainable in the long run, but make sure it's also pointing towards your goals. We talk about the SMART goals, SMART, hitting on that R really hard, being realistic with your goals. So before you really dive into this nutrition thing, think about your goals. Think, is this achievable? Can I really do this with my nutrition? Do I have people in my community, in my environment, that's going to support me in this? Regardless if you do or not, you need to trust yourself. You need to believe in yourself enough that you can do this on your own. So with nutrition, yeah, again, like I said, automaticity, preparation is super key.
I love that you bring that up, kind of like you were talking about before with habits. Like that's what this is, right? It's whenever I hear people talk about willpower and motivation,
Yep.
I know you're in trouble, because those aren't going to get you long-term results, right? You can, if you're at a party and you're really trying to be good, and it's just like a one-time thing, and you're like, I'm just not going to drink, or I'm not going to get the dessert, like that's when you rely on the willpower, like in that one instance. But when it's like, I know people who every day they're relying on how strong they are to not eat something or whatever it might be. And you'll get away with it sometimes, but most of the times you're going to break down, and it's usually going to have the rebound effect where you're just going to go crazy from there. And then going back to number one, right? And now we're adding more stress to your life. We're trying to do this good thing, and it's actually going to be digging the hole a little bit deeper.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. You know, I love Red Bulls, but find something that is more sustainable. This is my favorite energy drink. It's got adaptogens that help mitigate and regulate cortisol levels. I can keep going on. I know that we're getting short on time here, but I wanted to go over the other three, the other three here. I basically hit on community and environment. Look around your bedroom. Where do you spend the most time? Does that inspire you to be a better person? Do you have red paint on the walls that's causing you a lot of stress? If it does, do something to fix it. Consult with someone else. Share your goals with them. Let them know, hey, this needs a change. What do you recommend? And build that community to support you with your environment. Purge those people out of your life that are takers. Get rid of those guys. You don't need them. There's plenty of people out in the world like that. Obviously, be generous with your time. You know, don't be so money hungry and greedy that all you have is this, you know, really nasty reputation of just not wanting to help people. You know, be true to who you are in your community, and find those people in your community, and really embrace those people that fully support you. Again, going back to environment and sleep. I keep hitting on sleep so much, but is your environment? Do you sweat at night? Do you need to turn down the thermostat? Do you need to crank it up in the winter? Whatever it might be, right? Be adaptable, be coachable. And then the other thing that I wanted to hit on, as far with environment, are those things in your environment weights? Are they weighing you down? We can all do, we can all try to do a clean and jerk, right? But is that weight going to come crashing down on top of your head as soon as you get up into full extension, right? No, don't overload yourself. Control. This is where control comes in. Or are they lifters? Are those things in your life lifting you, inspiring you to be a better person? And then going back to community really fast. Are you going far? Are you going slow? You know, turtle always wins the race. The hair stops and is just all over the place like a pinball in a pinball machine. Breathe. Take time to breathe. Don't go fast and crash. Slow down. Assess yourself. Be raw, be real, be vulnerable. Talk to somebody, write it down in a journal. Usually if we write it down on a journal, we have some kind of accountability to look back on later. And then movement, movement being the last key here. Get out and move. Get some vitamin D. Vitamin D is one of the things that most people in the world, Spartan being international, I can say this, movement, get out and move. You have a disability. Like my dad, I have epilepsy. It's difficult for me to move in specific environments because of the lighting. The lighting will send me into triggers where I not able to focus, and then I lose consciousness. But there's always something that you can do to better your situation. And guys, I'm so I can't push this enough. Look at those 6 factors again. I'll name those off really fast. Stress, sleep, nutrition, movement, environment, and community. Pick one thing once a week. Focus on that for the next 6 weeks, and keep a journal of the changes that you see happening. And once you get these things under control, you're going to notice that your mindset is going to improve greatly. So these are some steps that you can do to just greatly increase your ability to develop that positive mindset, to be open to new challenges, to not shrink away from things that seem daunting. I'll be honest, Mike, with this podcast, podcasts are kind of not my jam. I'm not like a camera type person. I'll go out and coach a bar class, with 35 participants, no problem. But the second I get in front of a camera, it does make me nervous, but I'm like, nope. embrace it. Let's do this. Let's go.
Mhm.
It just goes back to mindset. And just remember, most of us have families, right? Most of us have children. Most of us have people, clients, whatever your profession is, that look up to you, that follow your example. Remember that those people pick up on your energies. So do these things not for those people. They're gonna eventually figure out what you're doing, right? As you make these changes and implement positivity into your life, but make sure understand why you're doing, why you want to change your life, to develop that better mindset to increase success in the future. Find your why, find your true motivation. So those are just some awesome little tips that I have for you. Hopefully those will be hopefully those will help someone out there. I know that they have greatly influenced me. Again, shout out to my favorite person in the whole world, Casey Tom. She's on Instagram, on Facebook as well. I highly recommend following her. She posts every single day. Today is a beautiful day. I'm gonna crush today. Those little things. That's the other thing too. Go in the mirror every single morning, say a mantra. In every single one of my Spartan class, people can expect burpees, and they can also expect to recite a positive affirmation about themselves, because that's kind of the community that I have fostered within, especially my level 1 and level 2 Spartan classes. And they look so much forward to it. Maybe not thinking about it, but hearing other people's affirmations will definitely help them grow. So
Absolutely. I think that's a great way to incorporate that into a class, because I'm sure in a class setting versus a one-on-one setting, it gets a little harder, but that's a great simple thing. And actually, that's what I loved with everything you talked about today. These are all simple, right? Doesn't make them easy, but they're simple. You definitely can do daily things to work on all these. But I like, yeah, just pick one area, focus on it, and then that positive mindset it just like it's automatic almost. You don't really have to try. And but I'm thankful that you did come on and didn't let the podcast or the camera freak you out too much. One thing I always love thinking about with mindset is so many people worry about, well, what if it goes wrong, right? What if I stumble over my words? What if my kids run in the door, which they've done on podcast episodes? Who knows, right? So but then it's, why can't we think, what if this opens up a huge opportunity for me, right? What if I sign up for a race and it is life-changing and all the good? So I hope that coming on opens up some kind of opportunity for you. But if anybody does want to learn more about you and ask you any questions or whatever it might be, where might be a good place to reach out to you?
Yeah, so the easiest, I'm very active on social media. Michael, I'll send over my Instagram handle. But the easiest is on Facebook under Webb Fitness and Nutrition. And I'm usually pretty quick to get back to people, usually within 48 hours. So
Okay, awesome. So yeah, send over whatever you send to me. I'll make sure again to put in the show notes so people can check that out. Well, Becky, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you for sharing your insight. And I know our listeners will get a lot out of these 6 tips and really implementing them into their daily lives. So thank you so much.
Thanks, Mike. Have an awesome day. Go crush it.